Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to the first of 5 webinars regarding the West Virginia Leaders of Literacy Campaign for Grade Level Reading. I'm Charlotte Webb, the Coordinator of Elementary Education in the Office of I'm here with my colleague, Monica Delamay, Lead Coordinator in the Office of Early Learning, and we're delighted that you're joining us for this morning to hear more about the Campaign for Grade Level Reading. As we proceed, you'll note that all participants are muted. If you have questions as we move through the information, please type them into the chat box, and I will stop periodically to answer. This webinar is scheduled for the end of the presentation. I will open it up for people to ask questions. The goals for this session are to provide background for this initiative and how we've come to this point in the process, to explain the terminology that you may have heard or may have encountered as you go forward, to outline the 4-step process of initiating a county campaign, and talk about the next steps. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Monica.
Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Monica Delamay, as Charlotte said, from the Office of Early Learning, and I had typed in the chat box just making sure that everyone can hear. If you can hear, oh, I see an okay, great. So it seems as if the sound is working properly. Thank you, folks, for letting me know that. I'm seeing some okays now. Well, I'd like to provide you a little bit of background about this whole process. Basically, during the 2013 legislative session, Governor Earl Ray Tomblin charged the West Virginia Board of Education and the West Virginia Department of Education with addressing 3rd grade reading proficiency. The West Virginia Board of Education and the West Virginia Department of Education's Office of Early Learning, which is grades pre-K through 5, covers grades pre-K through 5, are dedicated to the development of strong foundations for early learning for all West Virginia children. This foundation is dependent upon all West Virginia children reading on grade level by the end of 3rd grade. The commitment to ensuring strong foundations requires a comprehensive approach to early learning programming based on the research and developmentally appropriate practices that target strong relationships, engaging environments, standards, curriculum, assessment, and professional development. To ensure all of West Virginia's children are provided opportunities to succeed and become lifelong learners, the Office of Early Learning has established 4 key priorities. The first one is to advance this unified commitment to excellence and equity in early childhood education and early learning. The second priority is to establish strong foundations for early learning from school readiness through 5th grade. Third, close the literacy achievement gap by 3rd grade. And fourth, ensure all children are on target to achieve career and college readiness. So the West Virginia Department of Education's Office of Early Learning, in collaboration with state and national early childhood education leaders, recently established an advisory committee on a comprehensive approach to early learning that is committed to closing this literacy achievement gap. The advisory committee is committed to the development of a cohesive system of early childhood education based on research and best practices. Through a collaborative, intentionally designed, and well-implemented pre-K through 5th grade approach, not only will closing the literacy achievement gap by 3rd grade be possible, but West Virginia children will be better prepared for school and set on a course for college and career readiness. The West Virginia Department of Ed Advisory Committee on a Comprehensive Approach to Early Learning guides the Office of Early Learning's broadened pre-K through 5th grade work through 6 targeted work groups: universal pre-K, school readiness, 3rd grade literacy proficiency, instruction and learning, workforce development, and advocacy and public engagement. Team leaders work collaboratively with state, local, and national stakeholders to establish comprehensive work plans to meet the goals of the WVDE Office of Early Learning P5 Logic Model. It will impact the 3rd grade literacy gap in career and college readiness. This advisory committee reports regularly to the Board of Ed's High Quality Educator Committee. And now we're going to let Charlotte talk a little bit about the development of these West Virginia.
Yes, and before I get started, just remember, if you do have questions as we go along, please type them in your chat box, and we will stop periodically and just have an opportunity to answer any questions that come up as you hear the information. Now, we just talked about the formation of that advisory committee, and so we're going to look at the next piece of this initiative, which is work. Based on the work of the committee and this office's work with CELO and NEAR, the recommendation was made that West Virginia join the National Campaign for Grade Level Reading. In March of 2014, the inaugural meeting of West Virginia Leaders of Literacy was held, and this was a collaborative effort by foundations, nonprofit partners, business leaders, government agencies, state and community leaders across West Virginia that serve families and children from birth to ensure that more children in low-income families succeed in school and graduate prepared for college, a career, and active citizenship. The campaign focuses on an important predictor of school success and high school graduation, and that is grade level reading by the end of 3rd grade. The focus of this meeting was to clearly define the problems, which are, number one, that the majority of our children from poverty are not reading on grade level by 3rd grade. In fact, that statistic is 67%. And number two, that schools cannot do this alone. Following this meeting and the ensuing conversations, it became clear that even though West Virginia has a statewide campaign, it was going to be critical for counties to have campaigns that are locally owned. So from that point, the work of this office became focused on creating infrastructure, toolkits, and resources to support the campaigns at the local level. During this legislative session, House Bill 4618 was passed unanimously, and it outlines the tenets of the campaign. Following the passage of that bill, Policy 2512, which was previously known as the Critical Skills Policy, was repealed and replaced with a transformative system of support for early literacy. Now, I want to make sure to you that it's clear that all of this terminology is connected to the same initiative, and that all of this work is based on the logic model that guides the work of the P5 Advisory Council. Monica, if you'll share with us about the Policy 2512.
Okay, the Policy 2512 is called Creating a Transformative System of Support for Early Literacy in West Virginia. And there are different components I'll talk with you about. The policy component that makes student and learning supports a high priority. Of course, in looking at the relationship between classroom instruction, classroom management, and school improvement policy to support this formative assessment process as a method to make evidence-based claims of individual students' progress toward proficiency is what it looks like. Also, this transformative intervention framework for student and learning support. This framework has been adopted and focuses on a systemic approach to early literacy, targeting the development, use, and articulation of student and learning supports. This approach integrates this comprehensive view to early learning, and it serves as a vehicle to leverage school and community resources. Resources and additional supports are used based on the formative assessment process as indicated in the Early Learning Reporting System, which was launched for kindergarten this year. This system is used to gauge student progress toward literacy proficiency, inform classroom instruction, and target additional supports during the early grades for students who aren't making progress toward literacy proficiency. We also have this operational infrastructure dedicated to making the transformative intervention framework this sustainable reality. So members currently working as part of this leadership team to provide the infrastructure for counties include the WVDE Office of Early Learning staff, WVDE staff from collaborating offices. We've engaged several different offices to assist with this process at the department. Work group members from the WVDE P5 Advisory Committee on a comprehensive approach to early learning. That includes, but it's not limited to, internal and external stakeholders representing state, local, and national organizations. And then, of course, the leaders of literacy, which is that cross-sector representation that Charlotte spoke about before. Includes folks from the West Virginia Board of Ed, the Department of Ed, RESAs, local administrators, educators, families, higher education, business, medical, philanthropic communities, advocacy groups, DHHR, Head Start, Early Head Start, and others. Looking at capacity building, especially regarding professional learning for ensuring student and learning supports are unified, is a big component of this process. So the components include utilizing pieces of Policy 2510 to strengthen understanding of developmentally appropriate standards-based literacy instruction during those early learning grades. And then also working, one of the things we're working toward is revising the Teach 21 website with applicable resources to support educators, administrators, and even families to gain a deeper understanding of how to help children progress toward literacy proficiency. So, to accomplish the long-term goal of supporting all learners to close the literacy achievement gap in West Virginia, the WVDE Office of Early Learning has established a two-pronged approach. The first component is tackling the short-term logistics associated with measuring and supporting children to address their immediate needs to ensure they're on a trajectory for third grade literacy proficiency and eventual career and college readiness. The second component focuses on a systemic approach to early literacy in West Virginia that's supported by West Virginia's campaign for grade level reading. This comprehensive approach includes utilization of both school and community supports. And Charlotte's going to speak some now about the campaign for grade level reading.
The campaign for grade level reading has a basic belief that although schools must be accountable for helping all children to achieve, providing effective teaching for all children in every classroom every day, we do believe that schools cannot succeed alone. There has to be engaged communities mobilized to remove barriers, expand opportunities, and assist parents in fulfilling their roles and responsibilities to serve as full partners in the success of their children. There are three key areas that the campaign addresses. First is school readiness, because just as there's an achievement gap in school performance, there's also a school readiness gap that separates disadvantaged children from their more affluent peers. As early as 18 months, low-income and vocabulary development and other skills critical for school success. Research indicates that children from poverty come to school 30 million words behind, and that's a significant learning gap. Parents play an enormous role in closing this gap, as do daycare providers, pediatricians, preschool programs, and the broader community's various birth to 3 programs. The second area is attendance, and I just want you to be aware this is not about truancy. This is about chronic absence. Chronic absence is a measure of how much school a student misses. It's a broader measure than truancy, which only tracks unexcused absences, and it is addressed much differently than truancy. Starting in the early grades, the percentage of students missing 10% of the school year can reach remarkably high levels, and these early absences can rob students of the time they need to develop those literacy skills. Tracking chronic absence is a data-driven solution that can be built into federal grant applications, and it can be an integral part of parent engagement programs. This can also be a goal for a funder's investment or a measure of a grantee's success. Chronic absence can also tip off communities to families and neighborhoods in need of further support, since poor school attendance can be an early warning sign of challenging social, economic, and health conditions. And then the third area is the summer learning loss. There's research spanning back 100 years that's proven that students lose ground academically when they are out of school for the summer. This problem is particularly acute among low-income students who lose an average of more than 2 months in reading achievement in the summer, which slows their progress toward third grade reading proficiency. And it exacerbates the achievement gap with their middle class peers. Now we're going to take a look at the county campaign for grade level reading. So as we push out the resources to the counties, there's actually a 4-step process that you'll be engaged in. The first one is community engagement. In this step, you'll take the initial steps for ensuring the right partners are involved, the right stakeholders that you want to bring to the table. Step 2 would be to complete a needs assessment. In this step, you'll be determining your community's unique strengths, opportunities, and challenges that may be present. Step 3 will be to develop an action plan. This is where you'll identify what you aim to achieve and the steps that are needed for the success. And then 4, implementation, which is where you will just embed a culture of literacy in your community to help close the reading achievement gap. I'm not going to walk through each of these steps now because they're going to be addressed in future webinars. These webinars are scheduled once a month, and they will address each specific step in the process. They'll be recorded, and they're going to be available on the campaign's website. So I want to take just a minute and show you how to access that website and the resources that are available now. And we will be adding resources. But if you go right to the department's homepage, the West Virginia Department of Education homepage, you'll see that there's an icon for the West Virginia Leaders of Literacy. And that will take you directly to the Campaign for Grade Level Reading website. Now, right on the front page of the campaign's website, you'll see the video that we've used in most all of the presentations that we have done about the campaign. This is available for your use, as well as a link about how to get involved. And then down the side, you'll see other tabs. There's a campaign tab, which gives an overview. This is an overview of the campaign, and then you'll also see links to the most recent report of progress and policy 2512. So this is where you can access that policy that's guiding those local campaigns. There are also tabs here to go to where you can find resources for attendance, extended learning opportunities, school readiness, and high-quality standards-based instruction. And you'll see that you can also access these here under the Campaign tab. There's a page about how to get involved. So it gives several options, dependent upon the person's role, whether they're a parent, a member of the community, or a business owner. And this is a good way for you to give information to these individuals or agencies about how they can begin to participate in your own local campaign. There's a tab that shows bright spots. And we have a lot of work that has already been going on in some of the counties that will be added here. The only thing that's here right now is from the inaugural event of the Leaders of Literacy, but we'll be adding those other activities that are going on. And anytime you do something as part of the campaign that you would like for us to post here, if you'll just send that information to us, we'll be happy to advertise that for you and put that up and let other people see what you're doing, because it, not only highlights the work that you're doing in your county and in your community, but it also gives other counties and communities ideas about how they can maybe engage community partners as you have. There's a tab for resources, and there are resources available for families, for educators, the community, and for children. And then just a contact page, how you can contact the staff here in the Office of Early Learning. Now, on this next slide are the action steps. So as we go through each of these webinars, At the end of each one, you'll have recommendations for actions to take prior to the next webinar. The next one is scheduled for December the 4th, and it will cover community engagement. But before we meet again on December the 4th, here's some action steps, 2 things that you're going to want to do prior to the next webinar, just in preparation for it. The first one is the county literacy team. So each county is going to need to have a county literacy team to support this work. So I want you to start thinking about potential partners that you'll want to invite to the table. You don't need to necessarily initiate contact yet, because you'll get additional information during the next webinar about how to engage your community partners. But you will want to start brainstorming about people that will be able to help with each of those areas of the campaign. You're going to need to have a point of contact that will be responsible for oversight of the initiative, and start thinking about who may be a good fit for that position. It's going to need to be a person with strong communication and relationship building skills.
Okay, one of the things to consider as you think about potential partners is the fact that every county already has an early childhood collaborative team, and it's comprised of a pre-K coordinator, a special education representative, as well as a Head Start, licensed child care, and DHHR representative. These teams also include partners already from the local West Virginia Birth to 3 agency, Child Care Resource and Referral, County Family Resource Networks, Parent Education Resource Centers, and other community-based early childhood programs. That organization in itself could potentially be a very good fit for the work of your county's early literacy team.
Right, and I certainly don't want to overlook the county libraries that are available as well. And I know that we've worked with them, and they are ready to help in this initiative. Then the second action step is, and this is probably most important, you're going to want to study Policy 2512. You're going to want to have a deep understanding of the components of the campaign. And again, you can locate that policy on the Leaders of Literacy website. Now, I'm going to take a moment and just open it up for questions. So I'm going to unmute you if we can do that without too much that. Are there any questions at this point?
Oh, well, maybe we'll mute.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'm going to, while we're waiting to see if there are any questions that you have, and just put up the future webinar dates. These will be sent out in the superintendent's memos as well, but just so you have an idea of when they are and each of those steps. And just remember that you're not going to have to do this work alone, that I and the staff here in the Office of Early Learning are going to provide technical assistance for each step through the process. And just make sure that you feel like you have all the resources that you need. And then again, each webinar, including this one, will be recorded, and it will be added to the campaign website.
I don't see any questions popping up. It might be that they're just digesting the information.
That is true.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the final slide. Please know that anytime during this process, if you do have questions, if you need any assistance, please feel free to contact me. My contact information is listed on the slide for your convenience. That's my email address, so you're always welcome to email me, but there also is listed my office phone as well as my cell phone. In case I'm not in the office, I'm still available to help you with anything that you might encounter.
Well, thank you for joining us today. And again, if you have follow-up questions, please feel free to email Charlotte, give her a call, and we will send out information, a reminder on the superintendent's update about the December 4th webinar, and we'll be sure to also post this webinar on the Leaders of Literacy website. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.